Welcome to Meet the Leaders, a forum to hear the new leaders of higher education in the greater Fresno area answer the question, how do you see your institution and yourself in a collaboration that drives the economic viability of the Central Valley?
My name is Deborah Ikeda. I'm the campus president of Willard International Community College, soon to be the newest accredited community college in California, we hope, in 2015 is the plan. As you know, community colleges, or you may not know, community colleges have three major goals. One is transfer education, the other is workforce development, and the third is basic skills education. So one of our major goals as a community college is to help with training for workforce development. As a brand new college, when you first build a new college, the first thing you start with are building facilities for basically your general education type classes. Although we do have 7 career technical education areas, which include education, criminology, information systems, including networking and computer repair and maintenance, child development, wastewater technology, graphics, including Photoshop, Illustrator, and Flash, accounting, business, including the entrepreneurial area. All these CTE programs basically provide a trained workforce in our area, as well as allow students to transfer on to the 4-year institutions if they choose to do that. Personally, I serve on the Clovis Chamber of Commerce as a Board of Directors member to keep the link between ourselves and the Chamber, and also the City of Clovis Strategic Economic Advisory Committee to work with them in showing how the campus can help with the Clovis area economic development. In addition, several of our faculty and administrators serve on CTE advisory committees, and we're always interested in partnering with business and industry and to help with local workforce efforts. In fact, the next facility we're going to build on our campus will be a career technical education facility. And what goes in that facility will depend largely on what the needs of the area are. And I'll stop with the first question so others have time.
Good morning. I'm Tony Cantu, president of Fresno City College. And I thought I'd take a little bit of a different approach and talk a little bit about the impact that community colleges have on the economic vitality of areas in general. When it comes to homeland security, for example, 80% of all the firefighters, law enforcement officers, and EMTs are prepared in community colleges. And that's huge when you look at the impact that on the workforce that these professions have. And we're one of the 39 colleges that has a post-certified police academy. And we're one of 64 colleges that has a fire technology program that prepares students. Community colleges in general prepare 70% of all the nurses in California. Fresno City College prepares about over 300 nurses a year. Part of that is part of our traditional program. About 120 of those is part of a partnership and part of a grant to get licensed vocational nurses transitioning into registered nursing licensing. And of those, we've been able to compress the 1.5-year program to 1 year. Also, 24% of the students who attend community colleges who attend higher ed are enrolled in community colleges. So a quarter of the students who participate in higher education are enrolled in one of our institutions. The other is that 1/2 of all the veterans who receive GI benefits are also enrolled in community colleges. So when you think of the impact that community colleges have as a system and within a region and within an area, the impact is pretty large. And so at City, we have the breadth of courses. We have everything from anatomy to welding and everything in between. Fresno City, for many, many years, has been a comprehensive community college and prides itself in that. We offer about over 100 CTE programs, certificates and degrees, everything from 1 course certification to a 2-year certification. We have also partnered with a lot of different agencies in the area to prepare students. We are currently working very closely under the leadership of Dr. George Raley in the district office, getting ready for the high-speed rail. Regardless of how you feel about it, we're going to have to prepare workers. So we're looking at what we currently offer at Fresno City College, what we can modify to get into the preparation of individuals' short-term training so that they be ready for jobs. And as most of you know, there are some restrictions as to what that workforce is going to look like and who's going to have first choice at some of those jobs. In addition, we get a lot of press because of our nursing program. However, at City we also have a dental hygiene program, which has about 100% placement. And when they do sit for the boards, we also have about 100% pass rate. We offer respiratory care and we offer radiology technology. So in terms of the health there, we've been able to provide the employers with qualified individuals. And we've been doing that for a long time. This is not new in Fresno City, but the challenge has been for us as we reach out to our partners is to streamline the programs that we have and make them shorter and more compact, which can be a challenge sometimes. It's not impossible. We just need to take a look at how we offer courses, how we get those courses developed in a different way. But it can be done, and our faculty have stepped up to the plate in a lot of areas to make sure that we offer those courses. At our Career Technology Center out at Annandale, not only do we offer non-credit hour programs, but we also house partnership that we have with PG&E, where we've been able to prepare through grants and through some funding from the district, individuals to prepare them for anticipated job openings. And through the last couple of cohorts, over 95% of those individuals have been placed. Not necessarily here in Fresno, but they've been placed in jobs in Fresno and in other communities. So in terms of how community colleges in Fresno City in particular contribute to the economic vitality of the area, I think that it's pretty clear, and we cover the breadth of the jobs that are available now and will be coming up.
Hello everybody, I am Sandra Caldwell. I'm the new president of Reedley College. I have been there since July 1, so I am brand new in 2 months and 3 days, not that I'm counting. Economic vitality, I can tell you, Reedley College has a very large service area, just to share with everybody. It is the rural base of the State Center Community College District. So Reedley College is in Reedley. It has the Madera Center up in Madera and all the way up to Oakhurst in that area right as you enter into Yosemite. So it's a very large rural service area. So looking at the economic vitality in that rural base is significant, and it takes a lot of planning, a lot of partnerships, a lot of relationship building, and a whole lot of people working together to make that happen, I can assure you. Again, as we heard, basic skills, workforce, and transfer are all part of what community colleges do. And we do that, and we make sure that we do that across the areas in a variety of ways. One of the things that we make sure that we do is that we partner with the local agencies in our area, active with different boards, with chambers. I will tell you, I have been in the last 2 months visiting all of the city councils in the service area to actually get a feel from the community base what it is that they really need. Looking at the rural area, it is not recovered in the economic downturn as quickly as some other parts of the state. So we see that as very critical in meeting that need. As such, Reedley College does have a variety of programs to help prepare for the local economic base. We have agriculture program, very robust. We have a 300-acre farm actually in the Reedley location that we have been very, I think, creative in leveraging and helping our students be prepared for the ag industry, which we have to really help frame what that really means. It is a huge economic driver in the Central Valley, and tying that to mechanized industry, so the mechanized ag, all the components with that, but also the agribusiness, looking at what it takes to run the businesses within that area. We also have some others to help prepare around that help support the industry or support the local economy, the nursing, the dental hygiene. We actually have a health translating program, which has been very, very helpful and successful in providing that. One of the really unique things that Reedley has done is it has an entrepreneurship program, which has turned out to be quite an exciting venture. And one of the things to really help the students learn from that and to be thinking of economic vitality in the area, just a little example of combining that entrepreneur program and the ag business is recently the college in the last year, through programming, produced its own line of olive oil, bottled, and I actually own 20 bottles, and if you would like to buy it. And they're working to move that forward even more. So we look at all of those components, then making sure that we have the connections, as we saw the secondary folks in the room, and we have a superintendent here for Fresno County, partnering with the school districts. That's the next thing, is meeting, making sure that we have the connections there. We have our counselors and our outreach going early into the programming. We're talking into the junior high level. And we have the children and the children's programs, getting them on campus so that they begin to think, particularly in programs such as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, to help them see that there are multiple programs that can help within the economic base. In particular, Reedley College actually partnered with Kings Canyon Unified School District with a very growing right now, Reedley College Middle High School, which is a very specific programming that brings the high school program onto the college campus. We're in our second grade of that. That will move all the way through all 4 high school years to really help focus those students in programming. And we see that as a successful pathway. So as we contribute to the economic vitality, it is all of those components of, as Mr. Cantu said, whether it is anatomy and physiology through production of olive oil. We're providing that and making sure that we're ready to help in the economic base of the Central Valley.
So Fresno Pacific has been around, has been somewhat quiet in the land, I think. Originally founded by the Mennonite Brethren community, it is now a thriving liberal arts university that has really evolved over the years, but still has very much at its core the liberal arts. And so everything is built around the liberal arts. And if you remember, that's that part of education that is probably perceived as being the not so practical aspect. But it's the kind of education where maybe the question we need to be asking is not what do we do with this education, but what this education does to us. And so that is a value that we impress upon each of our students, traditional undergraduate, transfer students, degree completion students, non-traditional students, online, regional centers, wherever our students happen to be, we place tremendous emphasis on those values. So we put emphasis on leadership, service, and character. And so we are very concerned about the quality of people we are also graduating, as well as their expertise, their mastery of their particular majors. And so that has become something that has, I think, marked a Fresno Pacific University education. We have also, as I mentioned, this evolution, been moving more into the STEM fields. We are a Hispanic serving institution, like most of the institutions in the Central Valley, with a little over 40% of our students coming from a Hispanic culture background, a very high percentage of first-generation students. This is, of course, presents unique challenges. Then you add to that the high number of low-income students, and it creates some challenges for us on the financial aid side. One of the biggest myths is that private, independent, not-for-profit education is extremely expensive, and sure enough, the sticker shock can scare off quite a few folks. So one of the things we do is we heavily subsidize our tuition, and we have very generous donors who make our tuition actually quite affordable. And I say that because we put not only emphasis on that, the values or character component, but we're also a high-touch institution. We believe that one of the strengths and the contributions that we can make to the economic vitality of the Central Valley is graduating high numbers of quality people to occupy those positions that are needing to be employed and filled. And so we enjoy a very high graduation rate. Just this past week, the Chronicle of Higher Education, if I can take advantage of this platform to blow a little bit of a horn here, identified Fresno Pacific as number 10 in the nation for graduating Hispanic students. And that is, I believe that is one of the best things to happen, not just to Fresno Pacific, but to the Central Valley and to Fresno. We know that we are facing severe economic challenges in our area. And everything we can do to turn that around, everything we can do to celebrate victories and opportunities and successes really is in our best interest. And so one of the things I really enjoy and appreciate even about this gathering today is that it does represent the strength of Fresno and the Central Valley. The fact that there is not only strength in our numbers, but there is strength in our diversity. The fact that we have virtually every kind of educational institution represented, not just on the panel, but in this room. And then, of course, there's strength in our cooperation and collaboration. That, to me, is, I think, going to be one of the best assets we can leverage when it comes to graduating quality people and seeing them fill high-tech as well as the full range of work and workforce opportunities out there. And so Fresno Pacific continues to evolve, mature, reinvent itself on many fronts. And when we get to the question about strategy, I'll share a little more about how we're doing some of that. But I'm very happy to be part of this, and welcome to the city. I'm almost a veteran now, 15 months. And when John Welty announced his retirement, he sent me an email and said, "Welcome, you're now the senior university president." So take care of the new guy. And I said, "I will." So, change can be very good. And so I'm excited to be part of this community of learners and to be numbered amongst these educational leaders who are each outstanding in what they do. And so if anything, we should be very encouraged about the future of higher education, post-secondary education in our region.
Well, good morning. My name is Carol Goldsmith, and I'm the president of West Hills College, Kalinga. For those of you who don't know where Kalinga is at, we're in the western part of Fresno County. Many of you have heard of Harris Ranch, and near Harris Ranch. There you go. We're a small school, but we're a mighty school. Just like my colleagues, we have virtually every program from accounting to welding. We transfer students both to Fresno Pacific and Fresno State and elsewhere. Our student population is primarily Hispanic, and we are a Hispanic serving institution. One of our strengths that we have that I think is a hallmark of West Hills College is that we led the Valley in bringing together strong collaborations. You know, the people that are sitting here with you today, many of us have, in our institutions, have partnered together to be able to make sure that the Valley no longer is referred to as the Western Appalachia. I don't need to tell many of you, we have some economic issues here. In fact, on the west side, where I represent my college, historically, while the rest of the state and nation may be doing well economically, we historically have faced double-digit unemployment. One of the reasons is that is primary lack of education, and education that really matters in the workplace. Well, I'm happy to say that West Hills College, Kalinga, and my sister college, Lemoore, have worked together along with all of these other institutions to collaborate and make sure that our students have the best education possible. Not only at the community college level, but at the K-12 level. We are actively working with our feeder schools in a project called Closing the Gap. In fact, Fresno State's involved with that as well as Fresno Pacific and many of the other community colleges sitting next to me. And that particular initiative is where we're working with our K-12 brothers and sisters to make sure that that achievement gap gets closed. It's no longer acceptable to say, well, our students come from poor economic families or they're first-time generation students. That's no longer acceptable. Our faculty work very hard every day in the classroom, whether it's in the K-12 or whether at West Hills College, Kalinga. We need to work together to make sure that the structures that we have align better. So we're working together with our professors at the community college and at the high schools to align our curriculum, not only to the Common Core, which is coming, but also to what our employers need. Because when we're talking about economic vitality, we have to talk about the pipeline. And community college, what we're doing, and we also have a middle school program very similar to Reedley on the Lemoore campus, but we're also going out to the high schools and offering college classes on the high school campus. That is critical. The other piece is we have to partner with our employers. For example, we recently received, about 2 years ago, a Department of Labor grant called C6. And C6 is the Central California Community Colleges Committed to Change, of which the community colleges that I'm sitting with today are partners. We've led that effort, and what's been a result of that is we're restructuring and redesigning education. For many of you, you know that education has been traditionally the same for the last couple hundred years. Well, it has, and you know it's shame on us. While the rest of industry and workforce has changed, unfortunately, education has been slow to do so. This initiative that West Hills College Calinga is leading is allowing faculty, based on research and their good practice and their good sense, to change how we deliver education. So Mr. Cantu spoke about how we're shortening classes and moving away from the traditional based semester education. It makes sense. It makes sense because if you think about it, the biggest enemy for our students to be able to complete and move on to workforce jobs or be able to move on to the university level is time. They simply don't have time. The more time that they have faced in the class, whether it be because they have to take basic classes, more time that life gets in the way. The car breaks down, families dissolve, problems happen. Our issue is that we need to take more, perhaps maybe kind of a page from the military, get them in and get them out. Now that doesn't mean we forsake their academic rigor, no, not at all. What it means is that when we talk about full-time, we talk about full-time. In Hawaii right now, they have a huge campaign going on that's called the Commitment to Complete. And in order to complete community college in 2 years, it's not a 12-unit plan. It's not a 9-unit plan. It's a 15-unit plan. But we know that many of our students come to us basic skills deficient. So does that mean we just tack on more math and more English? No. We found that that particular path and that particular method hasn't worked well for us. And if you think about it, if a student doesn't like math and hasn't been successful in math, giving them more math, chances are it's not going to be very successful. So what we're doing at West Hills College Calinga is that we're taking basic skills and we're infusing it in the classes that they need. Therefore, if you're in welding or if you're in accounting, well, accounting obviously there's math, but whatever the workforce program that you're in, perhaps it's a nursing program, we take the math and the English and we embed it into that program because finally it answers that age-old question that many of you heard in the classroom. Why do I need to know this? Well, we're going to show them why I need to know it, and it makes sense. And research backs that practice. So I'm happy to say that we've led that initiative for the last 2 years. By the end of that project, we'll have 3,000 students be able to be workforce ready, and we have employer partners waiting for them to be able to take jobs and high-paying jobs in our valley. When you talk about economic vitality, many of us, we talk about healthcare, which obviously is the second largest sector that the valley has to offer. The first largest is agriculture. And I think colleges like myself, we have to be positioned well to talk about the new face of agriculture. Unfortunately, many of our students, when you start talking about agriculture, they think, oh gosh, I don't want to work in the fields. Agriculture, yes, that is part of it, but there's much more to that. We have some of the largest workers and some of the largest employers in the state located here in the valley. We have Olma, we have Paramount Farms, we have Boswell Farms. These are multi-billion-dollar industries that if we are going to continue to survive as a state, as a nation, we have to focus on agriculture. And we have to change the face of agriculture. That's something that West Hills College is committed to do with our Farm of the Future. And I'm happy to say I've recently been able to hire 3 new faculty members, 2 of which have advanced degrees, and we're going to be changing the face of agriculture to meet the demands of a growing demands in agriculture. So I'm very happy to be here today to be able to speak with you and talk about the great things that we're doing as a valley and the things that we're doing at West Hills College, because we truly believe once you go here, you can't go anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jim Yamino. I also started July 1st as the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. Now, I've been at the county office for about 7 years as the Deputy Superintendent. But I'm as close as I am to Larry, and and call him my dear friend, I've realized something. There's a big difference between sitting in one desk and another. So I am honored today to be with this group. This is a great freshman class of leaders in the Valley. I can tell you that. It doesn't take long to sit and talk to any of them, and within 5 minutes you realize what they really want. And they want something really good for this community, our county, where our kids are going to school. I get to represent 196,000 potential kids that are going to join the workforce in Fresno County, from kindergarten to 12th grade. And to sit and listen to today is really helpful, because it helps me as I go back and encourage students to make good choices. And when we talk about choices, and let me back up a little bit, because we started talking about poverty, so I need to address that in the county. Fresno County schools, first of all, 196,000 students, 32 school districts. We go from Mendota to Coalinga to Reedley up to Sierra, and there's 32 districts in between, representing kids with a demographic of about 61% of our kids are Hispanic, about 20% white, and then about 6% African American, and the rest is made up of different subgroups. So we're totally different than the nation. When you look at the nation demographics for kids in public schools, it's absolutely the opposite. You know, we have a very diverse group of kids, and we need to address their needs. And poverty is something that we are really working on in our office, because as we try to turn a child's life around in a classroom, we still have to address some basic essential needs that they come to school with every day. 83% of the students in Fresno County schools qualify for free and reduced lunch. That is a large number of kids. So that is something that we are currently working on. And many of our schools provide lunch or breakfast programs for kids when they come into school in the morning. In order to capture the kids' attention, we still need to capture their heart and their stomach. So it's really important to understand that I get to go all over the county. As my partner here was talking about Coalinga, when you go out into the rural districts and you see what's going on, the economics of those areas, in terms of what's going on with poverty, is great. It's not just the city of Fresno. I've lived in Fresno my entire life. I don't know anything but Fresno, and I'm proud to be a Fresno. But when you start looking around the county and you see what we're dealing with our children, and particularly our Hispanic children, it's time for the community to say enough is enough. This isn't a school issue any longer, it's a community issue. We all need to address it, and that's what I'm encouraged about in this room today. That I want to give kids choices. For too long, I think we've been telling kids there's only one option to success, and that's college. I am an advocate for college, so make sure you don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. But I'm also an advocate for working with your hands. You know, our country was built on skilled labor, and it's something that we are telling our kids, we're sending the wrong message. And we need to do a better job in our schools and letting them know that there's no dishonor in being a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, driving a truck. Whatever job skill you choose, just do it very well. And that's where I'm encouraged up here. I know Dr. Castro hasn't talked, but I already know his heart. I know where he's sitting on this. And higher education is absolutely a great option. But we are here to say, how are we going to stimulate the economy? I need to get kids to work. Kids need to be working, and they need to be working in what they love to do. Someone said it, and I was writing it down, I can't remember, but it was talking about when we have kids in schools and they are falling below in reading or mathematics, what do we tend to do in public schools? We give them more of it. Okay? That's a double-edged sword for us, because we're held to a high standard in terms of accountability, and kids need to progress and do well in schools. But also, when I'm looking at the other end, it's really near and dear to my heart, and that's a dropout rate in Fresno County. Where's the correlation? Well, I have many kids who come to me and say, the reason I'm not interested in school is I know I'm 2 or 3 grade levels below in reading. I know I'm 2 or 3 grade levels below in math. But when I have 3 elective courses and I could take welding or I could take an auto mechanic shop, I'm not offered those courses because I'm taking 3 more sections of math and reading. We need to embed that into our curriculum, into our high schools, and we are doing that. And wherever you stand on the side of Common Core, I can tell you that I think Common Core is going to be good for our schools because it's going to give our teachers an opportunity to start really teaching kids and showing them the way to the answer, not just the answer. And that can happen in our welding classes. There's no reason why a student, in fact, a student, you're looking at him, he's talking. I learned more about geometry in my welding class, frankly, than I did in my geometry class. I understood angles and why they were important. And that's something that we need to embed back into our programs. I want to just end with this, with just saying again, this is an honor for me to be with this group. I want to say I'm a bit embarrassed at 57 years in Fresno to say I don't know everything that's going on at Fresno City College. Even though I went there, and I went to Fresno State, and I went to Fresno Pacific, I don't know all of the things that I need to be telling my students in Fresno County. If you want to prepare yourself for a career, there's a great option. It's right here. You don't need to go away to college. If you want higher education, there are 2 institutions sitting here that are, hey, I'm a graduate of both, so I support them wholeheartedly. But I thank Lori and the group for putting this on today because it's a great opportunity for us to work together and partner even at a greater level than we have in the past. So thank you.
And I'm really happy to be here as part of the freshman class of leaders here in Fresno. And for me, this job is like I think the others. It's both professional and personal. I had a pretty exciting career before I came here, but I have to say I have never been as excited about anything in my life. Being back at Fresno State, being the president of such a great university. And I know so many of you are connected to Fresno State. Mr. Alvarado, Dr. Alvarado here has 4 degrees from Fresno State, right? Anybody else have 4 degrees from Fresno State? How many of you are alums of Fresno State? That's terrific. I remember Carol in the classroom, great student. And then also, how about any children or grandchildren or other relatives that graduated from Fresno State? That's true. Thank you. And for me, I like to ask that question because it gives me a sense of how much the audience knows about Fresno State. And generally, you know a lot about Fresno State. I want to give you a bit of an overview and talk about our connection to enhancing the Central Valley economy and a little bit about collaboration as well. If you don't know, Fresno State started this fall its 103rd year, which is just incredible. I did the math for my own family, and I think my great-grandfather was coming through the valley at about that time, and my grandfather came from Mexico. And so my family connections to the valley almost coincide exactly with the beginning of Fresno State. Fresno State started this fall with about over 23,000 students. It's a record enrollment for us. We have a record enrollment of freshmen, a record enrollment of transfer students, a record enrollment of international students. So, I feel like I caught Fresno State at the right time here on the Postmates. And I'm really excited about that. And, I think that as president, my job is to take the university to the next level of greatness, and to think about next week and next month and next year, but to think at the same time about the next 100 years and what kind of university we want for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and so forth. So I'm going to try to lead Fresno State in that way with a long-term view, and that's one of the advantages that I have of being raised by grandparents, is that they taught me early on to think that way, and I'm going to try to utilize that skill set. We graduated over 5,000 students in May. 2 out of 3 of them or more, about 70%, are first in their family to go to college. That's one of the things that really attracted me to Fresno State is that characteristic that we get top students from all around the valley and around the state. I've had a chance to meet many of them in person over the last month. They're just incredible. And so that statistic, what it says to me is that we're transforming families because we're getting that first person, and then, as you know, with your own experience, once that happens, the brothers and sisters and cousins, and I saw this in my family, that just it changes everything. So I love that part of our mission, and I want to continue that as we attract the very best, most diverse students from all around the valley. Nearly 90% of our students finished the first year and continued on to the second year, which relative to other institutions is a high figure, but I'd like to keep increasing that, and I'd like to increase our student success in general. I was very happy to hear about Dr. Muhammad's figure about graduation rates, and that's something that I'm hoping we can increase together. There's been a lot of attention paid to this at Fresno State, and I think, in my view, we can do even more and do even better. So that's going to be a priority for me, and I think that's one really important way that Fresno State can help the economy. Because if we can go from, say, 5,000 graduates to 6,000, eventually 7,000, I've asked the Chancellor if we can grow because there's such great demand for Fresno State education. We've been bumping up against targets. I think if we're allowed to grow, that will be another way that we can further support the economy in the valley. Now, I'm still getting to know all the different academic programs, but I've been extremely impressed with what we've done in several areas. You know, we have a number of education faculty here, and they're doing an amazing job of working with partners throughout the valley. I was at a meeting last week with leaders from many different rural areas, the Rural Leadership Network. That's just one example of the great work that's being done. There are a couple of areas where I see that we're great and we can be even greater. One relates to water. Some of you may know that we've done a lot of work in the area of water, different aspects of that. We have a cohort of faculty who are working on that topic together across discipline. I'd like to further strengthen that work. I think that we could position ourselves as being one of the best in the nation and the world in that area in the way that we've done with wine. Hopefully you've tried some of our wine. I'm amazed at all the great things at the farm market. If you haven't been to the farm market, please check it out. But that's another area, agriculture, that's been mentioned a few times. And my impression in these early days is that we've done well in that area, and the ag leaders are telling me we can do even better. And, so I'm going to explore ways in which we can continue to strengthen our relationships in that industry and really take our programs to the next level. One other area that I wanted to talk about where I think there's a tremendous opportunity for collaboration is around technology and thinking about the ways in which we could utilize technology to advance all of our missions and to enhance the quality of education, of research, of service in our area. And that's something that I'm looking at within Fresno State, how we can further strengthen our infrastructure, our programs, and we'll be investing more in that area. And I think it's an opportunity for all of us to work together strategically sharing what we know, thinking about how we might leverage our size to get better pricing around equipment and so forth. One idea that I'm exploring on campus is moving to tablets, moving away from backpacks and to tablets where students would be able to download their textbooks on the tablet and to use that tablet for writing their papers. Like Dr. Alvarado has his tablet set up. You can actually take it anywhere you want, get on the internet. We have a loaner program that has been very, very successful, and for me that kind of gives some evidence that our students are looking for those kinds of tools, and I believe that it could further strengthen our student success. So that's one area that we're looking at, and I think West Hills is thinking about this as well, and others may already be doing it. This is certainly not the newest idea, but it would be new for Fresno State, and I think there's only one other CSU that is doing that right now at Northridge. So we would certainly be at the kind of frontier within our CSU system. So that's just one example of how I think we can further strengthen student success and perhaps work together. I'll end with one piece of good news that I received over the weekend. Washington Monthly has a ranking that is similar to U.S. News and World Report in reputation, but it doesn't focus on the same kinds of metrics. It actually focuses more on engagement with the community, on the difference that universities make in their regions. And we were ranked 15 in the nation in that poll. And I think that's a wonderful testament to all the great work that's been happening at Fresno State. We went over 1 million hours again in community service. And so there's clearly been that strong push, and I want to continue that in close collaboration with my colleagues here and others around the valley.
Thank you. What I thought we would do now is open us up for questions. This is being filmed by our local public access channel. We will email you when we set up the schedule when that is going to be available for you to view or to get it out to your colleagues. So they who could not be here today would have the opportunity to see what our great freshman class, I hadn't even thought about that, yes, freshman class. They'll be able to view that. So what I'd like to have you do is focus your questions on maybe these last two things, but not necessarily the collaboration piece, how you see your role in collaboration. And the last piece of strategies exploring as you execute the vision on both those who are in the audience and our leaders. And before I start that, I just want to ask, how many of you remember hearing from your teachers when you were in high school, if you don't study, you're going to be pumping gas? How many heard that? Now we say, if you don't study, you're going to be flipping burgers. Guess what, folks? We're now all pumping our own gas, and nobody taught us how to do that. And that kid that you said that to about flipping burgers is now managing $250,000 in gross sales, excuse me, $2.5 million in gross sales at a restaurant and making $60,000 a year. So please, just raise your hand. We'll come around. Please speak up. So Lori's got another microphone, so if she would cover the back end and I'll cover the front end, so we can get your questions asked and then either address them to a specific panel member or in general, any of the panel members, and we'll just say who wants to volunteer to answer that. Anybody? Over here?
I am Rosalind Bassard. Hi, Tony and Jim. My question, and I'm today with AXA, which is the Association of California School Administrators. I represent the Fresno Consolidated Charter, which is Fresno Unified Managers. My question is, as you talked about now looking at your basic learning, like for instance, your basic English, your basic math, being infused in your career programs, With Common Core and the K-12 system, of course, that's really, and I agree with you, Jim, that's really going to be a big difference in the way we're educating students. But how do you see, I want to know, what are you looking at, if you've given it any thought, how do you collaborate then with the K-12 system that are in the midst of looking at Common Core? Have you had conversations around that so that it becomes kind of a thread, you know, from the K-12 then moving on to the community college? And that's a question for any in particular our community college system.
For us, it's going to be requirements of the Student Success Act, the alignment of curriculum, and to address some of those issues, the duplication of courses, and being more direct in how we align our courses and what we provide, so that it's not a guessing game between or amongst faculty, either K-12 or community college or 4-year, as to what is the expectation when you get to us. And Debbie can speak to that. We've had conversations also, but there seems to be this lack of connection between discipline, faculty, especially community college and K-12, where the expectations are not clearly laid out. So I think that the Common Core is going to go a long way in addressing some of that, so that there's a clear pathway or a clear direction for faculty across the segments. So I think once we have those conversations, I think we can more directly and be more intrusive, actually, I think, in addressing the whole issue of basic skills. And not waiting for them to test, but doing some direct intervention while students are still in K-12. So, because we all benefit. At the end of the day, then for us, we benefit because our resources can be shifted more to CTE and to STEM courses, and not focus so much on basic skills. So I think by having those conversations, and some of those conversations have already started. We've been working with some of our colleagues at Fresno Unified. I know Debbie's been working with her colleague in Clovis. So that conversation is taking place.
And I can tell you, one of the things we've done with Clovis West in particular is they totally redesigned their senior English class to parallel our English 125, which is one level below college English, to the point where we can now grant college credit for English 125. And in fact, students who do well in that the first semester are able to take English 1A at the high school their second semester. It's considered their senior English class. It's also considered our English 1A class because the instructor teaching it is qualified to teach at the community college level. She has a master's degree in English. So those students earn dual credit, and they graduate from high school then with that English 1A credit. And there were 2 classes at Clovis West who did this last year, so close to 65, 70 students who had that English 1A credit for free, because we don't collect apportionment for that at the community college level because it's being taught at the K-12 level. And so we don't ask students to pay any fees, but we do grant the credit for that English 1A, which then goes on our college transcript and is transferable anywhere in the United States because we're accredited. So it's a great way to accelerate those students. And then when they come to us, those who took the English 125, the one level below, they're automatically qualified to take English 1A at our colleges across the district. And so we're not having to spend as much money on basic skills education, and those students are college ready to take all of our various classes. So that has worked out very well.
And if I could just add, I think what's happening across the valley, and you've heard 2 examples, and I'm going to tell you a third, but I think it's happening across the valley, is that there are conversations, meaningful conversations that are going on at the classroom level with K-12 teachers as well as community college professors. I know in our area we have an initiative called Closing the Gap, working with Fresno State on that. And we're doing, one prime example is when we brought faculty in, and they actually did cross-grading of papers. So you have college faculty and high school faculty grading English papers. And once you start to get to that level of collaboration, real change can take place. So yes, Common Core is coming, it's forcing change, but how we manage that change is up to us. And so I think what you're hearing today is a real willingness from the higher ed group, and I think there's a willingness in the K-12 arena to come together and figure out how we can do this better.
And that point about the English teachers at the K-12 level and the college level working together is critical. Our English teachers and their English teachers get together and grade the papers together. They grade our English papers, we grade theirs, and we see how we match up. And it's been really very, very successful, but that takes time to build that trust. But once that's there, you can do almost anything. It's amazing.
That's the real key pin, I think, of trying to bring people together. Because once you have those conversations eye to eye, you can really move forward. And this is a prime example of it. Being able to bring all of us here today, I'm sure we're all going to exchange business cards and figure out how we're going to initiate change and move forward.
Anybody else over here?
She told me to give you my name. My name is David Hawkins. I'm the Vice President of Academic Affairs and Dean of Pharmacy at California Health Sciences University. You talk about freshmen. We are a new university. I hope all of you know about us. It's we hope to enroll our first class next fall. We hope to enroll 80 students. These are, again, post-baccalaureate students. Doctor of Pharmacy degree leads to practitioners who make more than $100,000 a year, so we can help with the economy. We want to recruit people from the Valley. One of the difficulties, at least in our profession, is that if students are educated and trained in other colleges of pharmacy, they may come here for a little while, and then they tend to go back to where they came from. So we know there's a shortage of pharmacists in the Valley, and one way to resolve that shortage real quickly is to recruit people from the Valley who will stay here once they graduate. There's also a critical shortage of primary care physicians in California. It's most critical in Central California. And our vision is to transform pharmacy education into a primary care profession. And we are being supported by our own House and Senate in California. There is a bill that goes before the big assembly soon, maybe before September the 13th, that will give pharmacists primary care privileges, the ability to provide primary care in collaboration with primary care physicians. This is a tremendous shortage, and by the way, there will be 1 million more patients in Central California that will have access to primary care or health care once the Affordable Care Act is fully implemented. So we need to address this, and our college, our students will be trained not only as other schools train their students in terms of pharmacy, care management, drug therapy management. Our students will be trained how to perform physical assessments, how to deal with patients who have chronic diseases in particular, help manage those diseases, help get them on effective drug regimens, have good therapeutic outcomes, working again in collaboration with physicians and other healthcare professionals. Collaboration. I've already spoken to the president of Fresno Pacific and the president of Fresno State. Of course, with a doctor of pharmacy program, you have faculty that are engaged in research. So we hope that our faculty will be involved in interdisciplinary research with faculties at Fresno State and Fresno Pacific. We have some researchers who are working in nanotechnology, somebody mentioned nanotechnology, to develop drugs that will be used to treat cancer. And with nanotechnology, these drugs will go directly to the tumor and avoid causing damage to other tissue. That's something that's dreadfully needed in the field of oncology. But we have medicinal chemists who are synthesizing new drug products. We have pharmaceutics professors who are inventing new formulations of drugs. So we want to collaborate. We want to have interdisciplinary research opportunities and interprofessional. I mentioned this too. It's important that students in medicine, students in pharmacy and nursing have some opportunity for interprofessional education because they're going to be working together when they graduate. They need to understand the contributions each can make. I know I'm not asking questions, but I'm making points that I think are tremendously important. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to be here. One more thing, and that is recruitment. We need to recruit students from the Valley. There are 140 pharmacy schools in this country. When you look at the demographics of students, one of the most glaring things you will see is a low number of Hispanic students in pharmacy schools. We've already started looking, and I didn't know this about Fresno Pacific until today, but we need to reach out to the Hispanic students, encourage them to think about pharmacy, recruit them to go into pharmacy, stay here and provide pharmaceutical care services to the citizens of Central California. There may be a question there somewhere, just thank you for the opportunity to make that point.
Good morning. My name is Marcy Masamoto. I wear a couple hats. I'm at the Educational Leadership Institute at Fresno State. I'm also a school board member at Sanger, but most important is I'm a citizen of this community. And I'd like to ask, knowing we've just come through this amazing phase of economic downturn and policy issues, my question to any of you or all of you is, how can we as a community, whether individual citizens or agency representatives, best support you in your goals to either impact policy or decision making that are important to you? And I'm actually, to anyone, whether it's K-12 or higher ed, community college system, what are your greatest needs right now and how can we as citizens help support you?
I'm happy to start. Thank you for that offer. I think for me, as a new president, Fresno State, the thing you can help me the most with is to provide me with feedback on the university. And I've asked for this on campus in the community, and there's a way to do this on my webpage. And I'm asking two questions. What do you love about Fresno State? Because especially after going through this difficult period, I think we need to celebrate more of those things that we really love and we know, are just wonderful attributes of the university, and I want to share that with everybody. And then the second is, what are some of the ways in which we can do better? And for me, as a new person, that just provides me with a great sense of where people are within the university and outside. And as I'm trying to develop strategies to take us to the next level, I have a lot of ideas, but I want to hear from people in terms of their ideas, their perception, and that sort of thing, and we'll have a response to that in a few months.
And, go ahead, Sam.
I would like to respond to that. One of the things I think that we all have to be able to do is get the word out on the choices that truly are available. That was mentioned, I think, earlier. I mean, that is to understand the concept of college is many, many things, particularly in higher ed, when you're looking at the choices that are available. And I just want to mention that agriculture, for example, that was mentioned earlier, and that is, it isn't, although the harvest time is a very big part of that industry, the ag industry is a huge business. And there are many, many components and support for what it takes to operate within agribusiness, whether that be mechanized production, we need our technicians, we need people who can operate heavy equipment. We also need computer programmers. There is such a huge component within those industries. So I think getting the word out, number one, is that there are so many options to what that means and career choices available. There is many, many things. Participation, we have advisory boards for all of these different programs. We need people in those variety of sectors. I just had a meeting the other day with Harold McClarty about what it really, about participating and having not just participation on, for example, our agribusiness board, but on our computer science, because they have a custom computer program made so that he could track the particular trees and fields in which produce was coming from. So it's very large. So participation in these advisory boards is critical across discipline areas because they are multiple field industries. And then I think it is also the feedback. We've got to know how we're doing and the things that are coming forward and evolving and changing. We have to know that at multiple levels. Our faculty have to know that. Our advisors or student success coordinators have to know that. Our vice presidents have to know that, and we have to know that so we can help set the tone and direction for the organization so that they can adapt and be relevant in the future. That's what we need.
And Marcy, I thank you for offering help. In public schools, and the numbers, I've heard are anywhere from 25 to 30% dropout rate, which isn't something that you all haven't heard in the room before. If I'm losing 25% of my kids, I'm not giving them an opportunity to work with the institutions up here. So how do we change that? And it's not that I'm going out to the community and asking for money, because it's not always about money. It's just about time. It's about you all investing in schools. And I think we've done a great job of saying to our community, come and volunteer, but then we're not really telling you how to volunteer once you get there. We need you, whether it's helping, I'm looking at Luis up here, where it's helping in reading programs with kids. We have 54 different languages spoken in Fresno County with 196,000 students. That presents challenges, but what great opportunities for the community to come and help. And those are the things that I would like to see, get involved in understanding what's going on in your local school, wherever it is. If you have a few hours a week to go in and mentor kids, and I'm talking, again, all kids, but particularly kids of color. Our dropout rates are staggering when you look at particularly African-American males and the amount of kids that we're losing in our schools today. We've found that by simple programs, I mean, it's not really that complicated. It's not about money. It's about an individual walking onto a campus willing to volunteer and mentor that one child and just be with them a couple of hours a week. We have just seen in the last year that attendance has gone up by almost 15%, grades are going up, discipline's going down. It's only as a result of that one community member saying, I care about you. I care about you and how you're doing in that school. I want them all to end up in one of these institutions. And someone said it, I don't know who again, but I don't want kids to leave. I want them to stay here in the Valley. You have great choices. So, Marcy, I'm happy to talk to you about getting a group together, and I'm going to be talking to all the county boards about this in October at our first meeting, about just getting the communities involved wherever the school may be.
And Marcy, I want to thank you as well for that answer. And I'm going to take you up on how can you help. One of the hats that you also wear that you didn't mention is that you're linked to agriculture as well, directly. Just a little family farm. We both, many of us have agriculture programs in here. We've talked a little bit about the importance of agriculture, and I think it's so important that it bears stating again. Really, our agriculture programs, and whether it's business related, there's so many industries linked to agribusiness, and we can't have any of those going away. We simply can't. We have to focus on what we do best, and when you look around and you drive around the valley, if you don't think we're ag, I encourage you to get out of your car, drive out of Fresno, just drive any direction. Any direction, we are agriculture. So it's huge. So all of you that work with students, please encourage your students to think about agriculture and agribusiness and the related fields as a career. And I know your family's very much involved in that. But one step for West Hills College, I want to ask you and many of the others, we need internship abilities. I mean, we have a lot of people serving on panels, we have a lot of people coming in and doing advisory boards, but really, I need, and I'm not even talking paid internships, I just need to be able to have my students have an opportunity to come out to a working farm. Many of our students are moving through our pest control advisor program. They need that practical experience. While we too have a working farm, they need more experiences than just my 215-acre farm. I need to be able to move them out to the other areas and see your particular farm area or your workplace area. So if any of you are interested in taking on an intern, please see me afterwards, go to our website, email me, call me on my phone, and I will hook you up with the student, because that's how we can really get our students interested in a career, is by having them shadow a very successful business. So thank you.
I want to add to that, not only internships for students, but externships for faculty.
Good point.
It's absolutely something that we want our faculty to be able to take that real world experience back into their classrooms and help keep them relevant
in industry.
Absolutely, good point.